On today's show, we're going to tell you what a perfect offseason for the Dallas Mavericks will look like. On today's Locked On Mavs. All right, I got Mark Tatum back up.
I mean, if we get top two, that's insane.
Fourth pick is the Charlotte Hornets.
The Charlotte Hornets.
The Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Mavericks versus Lakers.
Stop it. Stop. The number one pick will go to the Dallas Mavericks. Cooper Flagg will fly in Dallas.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
You are Locked On Mavs, your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave.
Your team every day.
I'm gonna get a city like that.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being an everydayer, making Locked On Mavs your first listen. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Joining me, as always, my co-host, media member covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being every day with me for 10 years. The perfect prefect, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Guys, over the weekend, it was May 31st. And that was the date in which Nick and I dropped our first podcast together.
Don't go listen to it, please.
For Locked On Mavs.
So bad.
In 2017.
May
2017. That's when we dropped our first episode as host of Locked On Mavs. We sound so kiddish and childish and all the things. And it's been a long journey. There's been a lot of things.
I called Jake Kemp Jack because I got confused because his Twitter is not Jack Kemp.
That was
every time I've listened to that, I go, dang, I hate that I made that mistake.
That was pre-Dennis Smith Jr. draft.
Yeah.
And we spent the other night just talking about all the things that we have covered over the past 8 years. And it's pretty crazy. And I never thought we'd be able to say, hey, we were covering the Mavs daily before Luka and after Luka.
Wild.
I thought Luka was going to outlast us in Dallas or for the Mavs, but here we are.
Absolutely insane. Today, we're going to talk about the Mavs right now and after Luka of the Mavs. We'll talk about what a perfect season for the Dallas Mavericks looks like. We'll talk about what they have to do with Kyrie, what they have to do with another guard, about trading guys, about other kind of things. I want a specific report to come out over the offseason.
Oh,
that would make it a perfect offseason, I think. But let's start here. The number one thing, draft Cooper Flagg number one. And honestly, like that's honestly the first thing. It's the easiest one. It's the simplest one. It's already basically in the bag. But that is part of a perfect offseason, is you get the best asset in the draft, the best player that you could possibly get in the draft, free agency, trades probably, like without giving up a ridiculous amount. And without giving up anything, basically, except some cap flexibility, you're getting the best player you could possibly acquire in Cooper Flagg. And so to me, that's part of a perfect offseason. And I just had to start with it because it's an obvious one, but it is still true.
I mean, I wrote down a bullet list, and that was my number one, too. And I didn't think going into the offseason that there was going to be something above re-signing Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, that's just going to be the lock. It's what we talked about since the season ended. Like, oh, you're going to the summer. Like, this is your number one order of business. No, the number one thing this offseason is you have to draft Cooper Flagg at number one in the draft. There's no debating around it. He's that good. He's that type of prospect. You take him, you be done with it.
That's it. And we keep saying it, but it just keeps being true. He's the best player they could have gotten, like through any of these other means. Like he is going to be incredible for them defensively. He's going to add a playmaking element for them that they're going to really, really need. He's another shooter that comes in because he shot the ball really well from Duke. That may take a little bit for him to adjust in the NBA, but we know he's can.
At 13 million compared to 50.
Yeah, I'm right. But like there's a lot of, and he's 18. They're bringing in a guy that changes their timeline, gives them a future basically. And that is absolutely insane. It's part of a perfect offseason. And there. The second thing I think that would make a perfect offseason was the number one thing a month ago, and that's re-sign Kyrie Irving. And to me, I think they got to get a deal closer to the $40 million a year deal than a $50 million, like not like a max would be. To me, that's like the stipulation I put on it, but re-signing Kyrie is definitely priority number two.
Yeah, I actually tried to get pretty specific on, hey, if someone asked me like, detail.
You got dollars and cents.
No. But like some of my other things on what a perfect offseason is, I don't just put like trade. I actually put like player, what the deal is or something. For this one, yeah, re-sign Kyrie Irving. And I actually put around the same thing you put. I put around $40 million. I think that's going to be your, if he got max money, you're looking over 50 a year for that. Then, you could talk about 45. I think it comes in around that 40 to 45, but I think it obviously is amazing if you can get him around that $40 million mark. I think it's a 3-year deal. I think the third year is a player option. So it's like a 2+1 type of thing. And I don't think you blink on that. Like, I think you give it to him. And I get it. There's a lot of people that's reached out and commented. It's like, oh, the ACL and he's never going to be the same and all this different stuff. And it's like, what's your other option? Not just like, hey, you don't have another option, so like you just got to do this. But it's like Kyrie has been everything that you have asked him to be when he's like in a Mavs jersey. He's been the leader, all the stuff. He's shown how good he is. And I mean, unless there's something behind the scenes that makes you believe that he's not going to come back and be close to the player that he was before, ACLs are not Achilles. And I think some people are equating those two. Those two recoveries are completely different. So I'm just not as concerned with handing Kyrie Irving $40 million a year for the next couple of years because of the ACL injury. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not.
It is one of those you just don't know until you see him back on the court, and probably even the next season after this one that you see him on the court either, because how are we going to be able to determine, oh, this is regression because he's getting older, or this is regression because of the injury? Like that is going to be a hard thing to try and figure out and that's what they have to try and manage with this deal is, all right, what kind of player are you going to get afterwards with age and with this injury? And so, yeah. And I'm not here for the pay him because he, what he's done for the Mavericks in the past and all that. They've already signed him to that deal and all that. Like the Coby Bryant deal at the end where they said, well, we're paying him for what he did before. All right. The Mavs are, if you're in win now mode, you can't be doing a contract like that, especially for a player in his position like Kyrie. But giving him $40 million, that feels like a lot. It feels like the number that should go to a player at that stage of his career. Coming off,
and he's that good. Like even if he comes back at 90% of what he was, like it's really dang good. I mean, I thought he should have been before injury last season. I thought he should have been an All NBA player because he had that good of a season in Dallas. And so, and when you have the timeline established, like Nico has established it already, of that, this around 3 years type of thing. That's what AD's contract is and all of that. Then it's kind of like hard to be like, hey, we're going for the title over the next year or so. AD's here for 3 years. I'm here for 3 years. Our GM is saying that. And it's hard to look at Kyrie and be like, hey, so yeah, have fun out there. Like, what's your next option? Like to be in win now mode at that level. What's your other, alternative than paying Kyrie Irving? And he's already your leader of your team too. So I almost think that that's a no brainer. I think you do it. And if he was willing to, do that around 40, yeah, you lock it up for the next couple of years.
That's it. I think those are the first two things, Cooper Flagg and Kyrie Irving. Coming up, a report that I want to see from somebody, from an insider somewhere over the summer that would make it a perfect offseason. I'll tell you what that is and more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Monarch Money. If you ever checked your bank account and you just wondered, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's so easy to lose track. There's just so many things. I have my Apple Watch and I just start like paying for stuff on my Apple Watch, and then you just don't even realize it. And that's a different card that has, so I have on my bank, and then I have this different card over here and all this kind of stuff. Keeping track of your money is hard, but that's where Monarch Money comes into play. It's not just a budgeting app, though. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, spending, all in one place. You stop managing your money and start building wealth. That's the key right there. Check out all the surprising insights, all in one convenience. There's all kinds of great stuff on it. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, what we call our listeners. We appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show and listening every day. We've got our Locked On Mavs text line where you can text us, get text alerts from us on every rumor, news update, game previews, Q&As, and more. Subscribe to be a Locked On Mavs Insider, 214-643-8637, or check the link in the description below. All right, Isaac, we're talking about a perfect offseason for the Mavericks. We've already knocked 2 things down. My next one, a report I want to see from someone, either a Stein, a McMahon, just anybody.
Kirk Henderson.
Sure, our buddy Kirk. Kyrie Irving is ahead of schedule, according to a report.
Oh, that's a good call.
Kyrie Irving is, they're feeling good about Kyrie's trajectory and his path, that he's going to come back sooner than anybody had anticipated. I'm ready for a report like that, and I know that we're nervous about when he comes back and all that, but the ahead of schedule report, like, I'm ready for that one. That would make it a perfect offseason.
That's good. That's a good call. I thought you were going to go the other route with a report, but
no, this is the route I went.
No, that's good. I'm jealous. I should have had that one on there. How do we want? I know there's people already in the comments. How do we want to say and address, like, hey, the perfect offseason and the someone
I said the perp. I was like, who are you talking about?
the perp.
The perp.
The perfect offseason, and I feel like a lot of people would be like, the perfect offseason starts with the firing of someone.
Wow.
No, I'm just saying, I feel like that's for a lot of people. That's what they're like.
No, a lot. I think
I didn't even think about, like, when I did my list, I was thinking roster wise. So I didn't I wasn't considering like front office or coaching or anything like that type of moves. So
you listening, there's probably a good number of people, you listening are probably just screaming like a perfect offseason includes firing Nico Harrison, right? Like,
I feel like there's a lot of people.
I think a lot of people think that. I think a lot of people that we know, like in media and people that we talk to, would think that. I'm going on I took this exercise that we decided to do. I took it with all the Nico's going to be there, Kid's going to be there, and the Mavs are trying to win now.
Realistic. I know. That's why I'm not
doing I'm not going to do the blow it up thing, because maybe a perfect offseason would be Mavs trade AD. The Mavs figure out a way to trade Kyrie, and then they set up with all these assets for the future and do that. Like, okay, that's not realistic at all. So I'm doing like a realistic perfect offseason. And so I also believe that the Nico Harrison thing falls under the realistic perfect offseason too, because I don't think it's going to happen. And so there's like no point in bringing it up. So it would be for a perfect offseason for maybe you listening, but that's not.
That's why I wanted to bring it up, because I'm assuming our listeners are probably already like, why have they not said that? I'm thinking more roster wise stuff and like realistic options for the summer.
I'm also just still on the camp that he's got to run this out. Like, he's got to run his win now thing out right now.
I've rethought that take
because of Flagg.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that's changed.
So next on my list is for perfect offseason after signing Kyrie Irving. Now, I didn't just say make a trade. I said trade for Coby White. I think for me, the perfect offseason, and I just put, once again, I don't know if this could get you a deal or get you Coby White, Daniel Gafford, Omax, and a first round draft pick. And I'm willing to give up a first for Coby White because I think Coby White is like the perfect step in guard until Kyrie comes back. I think once Kyrie comes back, there's sets that them two can play together. We've seen Coby White play off a guard like a Josh Giddey and Alonzo and Ayo and stuff. And then I think he's a perfect type of guard and player to have coming off the bench too, as a 6th man. And I mean, imagine, Kyrie and them taking a break, and imagine having one of, Kyrie, Cooper, AD, and Coby White. I'm not saying that Coby White's on that same level, but it's just like, hey, like one of these guys, takes a breather on the bench, and it's like, all right, cool. Now Coby comes in and all that. So for me, that would be part of my perfect offseason. I think he's one of the best realistic options that you can get, and especially where he's at contract wise. and the number and stuff. That's part of my perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just had acquire a guard, and the first name I wrote was Coby White because we've talked about him just as a name, but this is the player that you're getting. He's 25 years old. He's 6'5", so he's got some size for a point guard. He does play point guard, and he averaged 20 points, 4.5 assists last year. The year before that, 19 points, 5 assists. Now he is playing on the Bulls, but he started a bunch of games, and the Bulls have been a playing team, so it's like not like they're the Jazz or a team that won 17 games like the Pistons the other year. And so he's out there. He shoots 37% from 3 for his career, and he shoots 6 a game. Like he's a volume 3-point shooter that can hit it, that can knock it down well. And he's making $12.8 million next year. It is an expiring contract. That's the thing that's a little complicated about that. But I think it also makes him more available because what if the Bulls decide, all right, we're going to re-sign Josh Giddey or extend Josh Giddey, and then all right, we don't see a future where it's Giddey and Coby White.
Like Giddey's a restricted free agent this summer, so we're going to see the outcome of that pretty soon as far as next few months. How big is that number, and how big is that number? Does that determine, or does it give any hint on like the future of Coby White if it's just a massive number for a Josh Giddey?
Or do they finally like make a decision on what they're if they're trying to win now, or if they're the Bulls? I mean, they're trying to win now if they go for assets, like
playing is the goal.
I guess so. They're just doing that over again. Or maybe Coby White just decided he wants another opportunity. He wants to go somewhere else. And so that's no, I mean to the Mavericks, the different opportunity is to leave the Bulls. You want this. This is a thing you want. Believe me.
I do.
Trust me.
If Coby, what would you do if like we got a little Shams drop next week, and it's like Bulls in serious talks to send Coby White to the Dallas Mavericks? What's that first text you're sending me?
That's so love, bro.
I'd be just
search "That's So Love, Bro" Coby White on YouTube. It's
great.
It's my favorite. It was from when he got drafted, because Cam Johnson got drafted not long after he got drafted, and he like got it. It was revealed to him that Cam Johnson got drafted, and he was like, "That's so love, bro," and it's so funny to me. I used to have it as a drop. I probably have it somewhere, but that's what I would text you first. But I would be excited because I think he'd be a great player. I would give up the Lakers 2029 first, probably.
Yeah.
I don't think I would give up a Mavs first, just because of the uncertainty of a lot of things for the Mavs. But yeah, I would probably give up that for Coby White if they knew they're also going to sign him for long term and that it was sustainable with both AD, Kyrie, Coby White. Like you could build around that, and Lively and Cooper Flagg, right?
Yeah.
You could play that as a lineup. That's a great lineup to just throw out
there.
No,
you could for sure. Yeah. And
not a lot of defense in that backcourt, but you've got all the defense in the front court with Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and Dereck Lively.
But then it's also, you're also riding, I mean, for the people who like really obsess over timelines here, now you do have like 3 solid pieces there, and Coby White, Lively, Cooper Flagg. If you want to throw Max Christie in there, that's 4 players 25 and under, a part of this like smaller core there for your team, while also having the Kyrie, Clay, and AD. And so I mean, you can go for it, get playoff experience for the young core too, and all the stuff. And I would love that, by the way. So
I also wrote Austin Reeves, Andrew Nembhard, or Malik Monk, like just one of those types. I think it'd be a perfect offseason. They get one of those.
You're really high on Malik Monk. It makes me feel like I need to go back and just like rewatch a lot of King stuff about Monk.
He's just a great bucket getter, and he added a lot of playmaking at the end of that Kings season. And when he went
did
down,
Matt George like slip you a note, or
Matt George slipped me the finger at the playing game.
I just personally have like Reeves and Nembhard like on a different level than Monk, but maybe that's a me thing, and I need to reevaluate.
Well, he makes $18 million, so it's a little more difficult to try and get him than some of these other ones. But but I do think he's a really good player, and we're trying to find a player that can both play potentially with Kyrie, could come off the bench, and could start. That finding that balance of that player, there's not a ton of players that really fit that. Another one that came across our desk recently was RJ Barrett. We kind of mentioned recently. with our Locked On Raptors host. But
I was gonna say that did not come across my desk at all. I'm out.
We can save that for a different.
If it did, it swiped right off the other side of the desk.
We can decide that on another day. Coming up, I don't. There's two players, and I don't want the Mavericks to trade both of them. They've got to keep one of these two players. We'll talk about that and more. Come on. All right, Isaac, we're talking about the perfect offseason for the Dallas Mavericks. Draft Cooper Flagg, re-sign Kyrie to a $40 million around, per year deal. Acquire guard, specifically Coby White we want, or a Reeves, a Nembhard type, a Malik Monk potentially. My next one, they don't have to trade both PJ and Gafford.
That's good.
I don't want. I want to be able to go into training camp with at least keeping depth is kind of what this point is for me. Keep depth in some way. I don't want the 3-for-1 trade. We were talking about some recently. Even the one we just mentioned, the RJ Barrett fake one that Locked On Raptors hosts and I were talking about. It would have to be like, I think it was like Gafford, Naji, and Hardy to like make the money work. And I was like, even those in 2-for-1, I'm just not like that's a little tough because I just want to keep you want to keep the numbers because the depth is going to be so important this season with Kyrie being out, with Anthony Davis having some injury concerns. With
look at the finals right now. Like,
yeah,
I think that's one of the biggest things when you look both the finals teams is they both go so deep. Like, I mean, Rick's throwing 9 or 10 guys out there. OKC has a deep team, and especially when you start getting all these restrictions and stuff with aprons and everything, it's like, depending on who you talk to, everybody has a different opinion on like, oh, it's super team's dead, is like all this different stuff. And it's like, realistically, you could probably have 2 big contracts on your team, like massive ones. And after that, you better have a ton of depth because that's just kind of like one of the results of all this. And I think it's great. Like I love watching Indiana play and seeing the depth OKC has.
Yep. So keep the depth. Don't trade both of PJ or Gafford. Keep one of them. You're
deep, way down, deep. Way down, deep down in my
soul. Sorry, I don't know.
You should know this. You should break out the guitar for this one.
It's downstairs.
I'm with you.
I only have one more left. So,
I have some other ones.
Knock out how many you have.
Yeah, I mean, I have get under the second apron. Like, make sure. I mean, in a perfect world, you get under the first apron, but you're, I think dumping around $15-16 million at that point might be kind of difficult. But at least
dumping
get under
a whole clay. Yikes!
Getting Cooper Flagg was awesome. It raises your number 1 pick salary there. You just added a good chunk of little money there. So now you have some work to do. Get under the second apron. That's one of my things for the offseason. I think in a way to possibly do that, and I put in here, it sounds like kind of harsh and mean, but like dump Jaden Hardy for like a 2nd round pick on draft night.
Well, if you're gonna get under the salary, you have to do it some way. So yeah,
and he's due $6 million. I think he's kind of ran his course in Dallas now. And is there a team there in the 2nd round? I don't think you're getting a 1st round pick for him. But is there a team that has multiple seconds? Are you looking at a team like Brooklyn? I don't know what their seconds looks like right now, but they have 4 first. Is there a team that's like, hey, we have extra cap space. We have a trade exception. Would rather take a swing on Jaden Hardy than bringing in a random 2nd rounder at this point. So if you can do that, then that's helping you get under the second apron there. So I'm trying to be specific with that. And then I have one that's kind of consistent of 2 here.
Brooklyn,
you're gonna have some
36 as the 2nd round picks, by the way.
The Brooklyn does?
Yeah.
Okay. I have 2 minimum signings when it comes to it towards the end of the roster. I mean, if we're talking about perfect here,
yeah,
I put Chris Paul in there still.
Yeah.
If you can say that, hey, this offseason we added Chris Paul and Coby White. They have a relationship stuff going back to like camp days and stuff for Coby growing up and all of that. But it would be cool. Like Chris Paul, Kyrie Irving, Coby White, Brandon Williams. That's like your 4 guards. Sign me up for that. And then I actually threw in there Kai Jones. So Kai Jones and Kessler Edwards, they're kind of they've grown out of the 2-way stage of their career. They can't be 2-way contract players anymore. So if Kai Jones is willing, I would like to throw a minimum contract to him at the end of the bench there and let him, and especially if you traded Daniel Gafford, for, a point guard or something
Yeah.
like that. And you're looking at your depth behind AD and Lively, and you're looking at, hey, what's some cheaper options? I would assume Dwight Powell's going to pick up his player option for around that $4 million. So you have Dwight back there. I think adding Kai Jones to that would be great. If there's another way to add another big there, I think would be, great too. But I liked what I seen from him at the end of last year.
They do trade Gafford. They do have to replace him in some way. They're just with a minimum, probably, like you're mentioning. So if it's a Kai Jones, if it's,
or they look at it and say, hey, one of these wings off the bench, it's it's Max Christie, it's Caleb Martin, it's Naji Marshall. They look at one of those three and say, hey, is there a guy in that $8 million ballpark, a backup big that we could go get with one of these guys? So
I'm not trading Max Christie for a backup center, though.
I mean, I'm not either. I'm just saying that's another route they could go if they're like, they look at the minimum pool and they're like, not inspired.
Yeah. Last one for me. AD and Lively both ready for camp.
Oh yeah, that's
health for everybody across the board, but those two specifically. And I want the story. Anthony Davis feels better than he's ever felt before. That kind of thing. Lively is moved past everything.
Taller.
None of those are in question. Yeah, they're both taller. Anthony Davis has grown as well.
AD
30s,
fresh cut.
It's 30 somehow. None of these are in question as far as their health, but you just don't want something else to happen, right? We've seen things happen to players.
I can't mentally handle that.
I just brought in new Locked On Wizards hosts for Locked On Wizards, and I was listening to a guy Ben do his demo for us, and he mentioned how John Wall tore his Achilles in his house. Remember when he slipped and fell and tore his Achilles in his house? And I was like, that's the last thing this team needs, something like that to happen. So I just want both of them ready for training camp. And honestly, everybody healthy, ready for training camp, but specifically those two, because we just really haven't seen those guys healthy and playing together on the same court very often at all.
Don't
maybe
leave your apartment.
But John Wall did it.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
That was a wild story.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to do this episode probably multiple times this offseason, but you said that about AD and Lively, and it's just the things that we're going to go into camp looking forward to of man, a healthy list. I'm so excited to see AD and Lively, this front court together after an offseason and fully healthy and all the stuff. Obviously Cooper Flagg's going to be the number one, thing with that, but who's the new face that they add to the backcourt that we're excited about? Obviously the Kyrie time, I'm looking forward to talking to him and all the stuff. So especially if they add a veteran and stuff like a Chris Paul a minimum. I mean, there's so much, stuff with Chris Paul being a vet and Hall of Famer and stuff. There's so many different talking, points and storylines that's going to be going into this Mavericks training camp, and the front office is glad about that too, because they want to talk about any of those storylines above anything.
Yeah, right, for sure. Gosh, yeah, they do. Oh man, yeah, I'm excited about it, and I think we got gypped with Anthony Davis and Lively so far. I was so excited to see. I think I did a whole show on the Anthony Davis Lively pairing and how I was excited to see those guys, and when they were ramping back up to come back from injury, I was excited and amping them up, and then we didn't get to see it fully.
I don't trust a lot of that stuff that we've seen at the end of last year. Dereck Lively was not his normal self, post your recovery of that. Anthony Davis clearly wasn't himself either. And it was kind of frustrating to see some big opinions thrown out there about those two together. I was told this is supposed to be a defensive backcourt, front court, or man, is Lively really that good? Look at him right now. And it's like, guys, what are we doing? Can we wait until they're healthy and then we have a month into the season to get a solid sample size of this front court together before we have a huge opinion about them? And I'm a believer in those two guys together, and especially defensively. And you add Cooper Flagg into that. You're going to see those three guys a lot together, and that's you don't want to get ahead of yourselves, but those three guys defensively, it's just going to be that could be the number one thing I'm the most excited about.
I have something bad to tell you. It's the NBA offseason. We can only get ahead of ourselves.
Okay, well.
There's nothing we can. That's the only
Let
thing
me
we can
pull
do.
right ahead.
That's the only thing we can do is get ahead of ourselves. We're talking about a perfect offseason. Like all these things we just talked about are getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
Even drafting Cooper Flagg number 1 is like until I'm standing there in Brooklyn and I see him come off across the stage with a Mavs hat on. It's like,
Okay, what was our other option? We're not going to do Cooper Flagg content until he's drafted. Then we'd have 0 content right now.
Imagine.
No, we're at least getting all the views from the Cooper Flagg content right now, and if they don't take him, we at least got the views and money from it.
And we thank you for watching because of Cooper Flagg or however else you decided to watch this. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, and we'll be back with more all throughout the week. We'll have guests.
Probably get some good rumors tomorrow on Monday.
Oh, I'm excited for it. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.